And we are live and we are back. Let's go. I'm Cory, your host, one half of the FinallyFit podcast, and I'm back. Like I never left with another installment of Money Mindset here on the FinallyFit podcast. We discuss health and wealth, finance and fitness, and everything in between. We're going to make sure you save more and save less and keep making it better your best. Yes, yes. And I know y'all see the topic of today's video. I know I'm late on this, but I've just been unnecessarily busy with work in real life. But we're going to get into the Chase scam, which I know happened earlier this month. September still, and I feel like I know we had did an episode on, I can't remember the guy's name, but is it him 500, and he had talking about the Navy Federal scam, and I was telling y'all, like, don't do this, or he wasn't advertising it as a scam. It was a play in which you could get a car loan from Navy Federal, but not actually get the car loan and use it for something else, and it turns to a personal loan, or I can't remember exactly how he phrased it. But long story short, you were intentionally defrauding the bank, and that's bank fraud. That's like 30 years. Now we got this Chase scam, which I somehow was able to dodge, listening to the information on exactly what happened for the last 30 days or so. But it seems like for whatever reason, there was something that went viral on TikTok, and I don't know why y'all would use something that went viral on the internet and then go and use it and try. I mean, Chase is it was second biggest, or it might be the biggest bank. Is Chase the biggest bank? Let me find out that Chase is the biggest bank, and y'all just yep, it's Chase. In America, at least when I'm talking about for America, it's the largest one. Yeah, 3.8 trillion. Yeah, that's in billions of dollars. Yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend try to defraud and Chase. That would just not be recommended. But again, before we get started, make sure that like button, share, and subscribe. Shout out to the YouTube algorithm. Make sure I leave those rating reviews on the podcast platforms as well. My information, as well as my coach Jordan information, can be found in the description on YouTube. And one thing too, I talked about my mic issues not having that fix them. Then when I listened to the last episode, it looks like my mic was coming through my computer as far as my camera instead of my actual microphone. I tested it. I don't know. I haven't done that, and I feel like over a year now. But so apologies on the audio issues as far as the wrong microphone working. Last episode, hopefully everything is working this time, coming through the right mic. I tested it, and that there's no crackling or anything like that. The issue is like I can only hear the crackling once I actually save the recording and upload it. Well, not upload it, but once I actually save it, I can't hear it right now, which is why I didn't know the issue was happening. All right. And we're still in September. So we already did the monthly car payment. It was still about the same amount it was in comparison to October. And again, student loans, just pay off your student loans. Right. Maybe I should look up to see what the situation is as far as the SAVE repayment plan. But hey, if Trump gets in office, my guess is a lot of that stuff is going to get nixed anyway. But the Supreme Court, is already 6-3, I believe it is, as far as in favor of conservatives, Republicans. So anything that goes up to them is probably going to get shot down from a Democratic or liberal view when it comes to student loans. All right. It should not be too long of an episode, y'all. And again, taken out of context, it is not as far away as you think it is. It might be coming up pretty soon. Chase scam. Okay, Chase, y'all out here. What? Also, too, y'all didn't look. I'm getting better. We got the full screen now. I'm getting better at showing the stuff. So I might have to make my picture smaller now. But we're gonna figure that out. But anyway, let's go. Here we are. We're gonna talk about Chase Bank. It says it's aware of viral glitch inviting people to commit check fraud. Now, before we get started, before I even read this, and it says in the statement, the bank said that depositing a fraudulent check is still fraud, plain and simple. Yes. And this is by no author here. Oh, here we go. By Angela Yang and Callahan Rosenblatt, September 3rd, 2024. Let me say this. It looks like people were depositing checks. So when they say depositing checks, I guess it was through the ATM since they have the ATM set up right here. Again, I haven't been a teller since 2018, February 14th, Valentine's Day to be exact. But when it comes to depositing checks into the ATM, or when you're using your camera on your phone where you can do mobile check deposit, I usually would always, especially when the ATM, if you come to the branch, the bank, the credit union, and the bank or credit union is open, do not go to the ATM unless you're just withdrawing money. Do not deposit your check into the ATM. One, you don't get your money right away. The hold on the check is usually longer. And two, you're running the risk of the check like somehow getting lost in the ATM process. When it comes to the bank and you actually give it to the teller, however it's set up now, I know there's so many different ways of doing it where a lot of tellers aren't even physically at the bank. But when you actually go in person and work with the teller, if your check gets lost, that's it's on them. It's not on you. It's on camera, things like that. When it goes into the ATM, the main reason they put it on the hold is because no one has actually processed the check. They're just taking what you've done as good faith, as far as, not defraud, not committing fraud, check fraud. So that's one of the things. My credit union is $250 to be available right away. When normally if you come to teller, it'd be $500. Or how about this? Let's say it's your paycheck, right? Every financial institution has different hold policies, but my credit union, your paycheck, if it's insurance check like for a loss, there are certain checks that we would not put a hold on. We give that money to be made available to you right away. But if you would go to the ATM, that money would get put on hold, even if it's in your paycheck. You only get $250 right then and there, and then it could up to be 3 to 5 business days. Let's say it goes over the weekend, right? And there's a holiday. I mean, you got to wait all these days, real days, until your check, all the funds actually clear. And there'd be plenty of times. I mean, it's borderline like PTSD, but it's just hilarious. People would go to the ATM. We'd be open. They go to the ATM, be like usually on a Saturday or a Friday when people get off work, and they're coming and depositing their checks. And the people would say, well, the line was really long for the tellers. So they would go to the ATM, deposit their check, and get, say it's a $2,000 check, so only $250 would be available. Then they would come and stand in the line that they said was too long to wait to go see the teller so they could get more money out. But their check is on hold. Then they would say, why can't you just go to the ATM and get it? It's like, well, that's not just how this works here, right? So that'd be the one thing too. If you're gonna wait in line, you might as well go. So you can always say, if you can go to an in-person branch, build some general type relationship with your financial institution, I highly, highly recommend it. And obviously, don't commit fraud. I mean, you can get years. These white collar crimes, you're gonna get years. All right, Chase Bank is urging its customers not to commit check fraud. I'm sorry, Chase, you have to urge your customers to do that. The bank's plea comes after this weekend. And this is, by the way, one of the reasons, too, my credit union just had so many, the restrictions were so high because, they're a big credit union locally, the largest, I believe, in Maryland, but, they don't got trillions of dollars, right? Different numbers here, right? The bank's plea comes after this weekend. A viral trend took over TikTok and X, or X formerly known as Twitter, with users being told that there was a system-wide glitch and that if they deposited false checks in an ATM and withdrew that money soon afterward, they would be able to cheat the system and take out a large sum of cash before the check bounced. My guess is whatever validation process that the ATM goes through was not working, or there just wasn't a hole being put on the check. Because when you have a check, we have systems. I won't say everything, but we can, especially probably now, verify pretty well if if the check it's fraudulent or not. But that's why some checks get holes placed on them just in case. And also too, it doesn't take that long for checks to clear. Checks clear in 2 to 3 days. So it doesn't take that long for the checks to clear. So if you get a check that's put on 4 or 5 day business hold, they're just doing that as a just in case. But checks clear in a couple of days. The ACH doesn't take that long. The only problem is this is not a glitch. Even if it was a glitch, glitches are not good things. It's a check fraud scheme, and those who participate will be on the hook for all the money they withdrew once the check bounces. That's the thing. Yeah, that check's going to bounce, and they're going to just deduct the funds. People might, I don't know if we're going to get to the numbers on how big these checks were, but if people were doing $10,000, tens of thousands of dollars in checks, come on now. You can't even withdraw that much from the ATM, though. ATMs only have so much money. Although some on TikTok call the scheme a glitch, Chase reminded his customers that this glitch actually is an invitation to commit fraud. I'm interested to see what the glitch is, and I'll speak on obviously if you're knowingly doing it, it's fraud, but let's say, depending on what it is, it might not be fraud for some people because they might not have known. Because you don't work at the financial institution, so you wouldn't know if their policies change or not. And policies change both ways, in your favor and not in your favor. We are aware of the incident, and it has been addressed. A spokesperson for Chase said in a statement to NBC News, regardless of what you see online, depositing a fraudulent check and withdrawing the funds from your account is fraud, plain and simple. So they're saying if it's just fraudulent check. NBC News has not verified if anyone actually committed a crime as part of the viral trend. Yeah, as if people would just openly admit they committed fraud. However, videos online purported to show people successfully withdrawing cash from an ATM after depositing a fraudulent check into their own bank account. I don't get why y'all coming on the internet, and this must be a Gen Z thing, but I don't. Now that you know what the internet is, see, my generation, we were still finding out, like, oh yeah, this stuff is going to stay online forever. Like when Facebook would be like, look what you posted back when you were 16, 17 years old, like 2010, 11. It's like, oh my God. But now it's like, okay, you know, this stuff is going to go viral. It's going to be on the internet forever. Before others quickly pointed out that, yeah, they were committing a crime. Fake checks have always been a crime. It's not a crime. The fact that you're depositing a fake check knowingly, right, it would be a crime. Then if you're going to withdraw the money, like you're stacking it up on yourself. While conversation about the glitch has taken over TikTok, it appears the first mention of it was on TikTok when a user shared an excessive balance of more than 80,000 in his account on Thursday, according to the meme database Know Your Meme. I would say, I don't know if this is the law or not, or even if it should be a law, but at some point in time, there might be laws where if you do something that's illegal and post it on the internet and it goes viral, and people can sort of say, no, I listened to this person on the internet, and let's say you have this big following. Let's say I have some big financial following. Even though I say this is for entertainment purposes only, myself, no doing the business for finance professionals, and then you hear entertainment purposes only, and you reach out to a professional, do your own research before taking any action. If you don't have the disclaimer, or they don't care, about that disclaimer, you might be in a situation where you could be on the hook and short for whoever posted this initial video that went viral, and all they see will be like, oh no, this is a financial person, and they said you can do this, so I went and did it. And so you might be on the hook for all these crimes, sort of like a Bernie Madoff situation, where they just stack up all these people and short, that you defrauded, and now you got to worry about paying all this money or dealing with all these charges. One video appeared to show lines forming outside of Chase branch in New York. God, New York of all places. Shout out to New York City. Out of New York. Was this zoomed in enough? Yeah, okay, cool. Suggesting people were flocking to the bank to get free money. You can't get free money from the bank just as quickly as the trend. Even when the bank does offers, you still got to pay taxes on that money. Just as quickly as the trend took off, you got to file on your taxes. However, people were soon posting screenshots of massive negative balances, I bet they were, and holds on their Chase accounts as a result of allegedly trying to withdraw the money. Chase, my assumption, Chase might have people working 24/7 because how big of a bank it is. They do international work, my assumption. I'm not going to say it for a fact. But Chase got people working 24/7. If all of a sudden they see, I feel like, and I do my best to convey this, but I don't think people understand like how powerful financial institutions are. I would say financial institutions are right up there. They're not the government, right? But just treat financial institutions like you're going to the government and withdrawing money from the government. At the end of the day, it's the government's money, right? But the financial institutions have to work with the Fed, right, and Treasury, and sure, IRS. I've already said this before. I've seen many a times where you go on an account and boom, IRS just put a freeze on the account. You can't do a damn thing. It almost like would freeze our computers to the point. So, this is not the place to go and just intentionally do something that is illegal. I don't know what these people think writing bad checks is. No, writing a bad check. Excuse me, y'all. Writing a bad check. If you're telling me you're writing a bad check, that would mean you're going to write a check that is going to bounce. What I'm understanding from this is these people writing fake checks. Fake check means for the DAMP, which is date amount maker payee, the maker, right? So you write a check off of Bank A. Bank A doesn't exist, and or the account that you're doing at Bank A doesn't exist. I would say writing a bad check would be, this is your personal check, from your checking account, and you're writing it for $500, but you don't have $500 in there, or you just hoping some stuff clears or doesn't clear by the time you write the check. So bad check versus a fake check, I would definitely delineate between the two. But I don't know why they thought, this was a glitch. One TikTok you said, oh, definitely don't do. Okay, TikTok, you just said that. Fake check deposits are a common form of check fraud and are not new. Duh. Shout out to Catch Me If You Can, Leonardo DiCaprio. Again, I probably talked about that many times as well, but Catch Me If You Can is based off a true story. Guy was committing check fraud. Before sure they had all these check fraud policies. He ended up getting caught, but he was doing it for years, and he ended up serving a little bit of time, or he might have been on probation the whole time, but he ended up working for some federal agency, maybe the Treasury, and was putting all the check fraud stuff in place, kind of that we have now. This is like in the 90s, I believe, 80s, 90s, before we had any of this technology. Checks were actually taking a long time to clear. Fake checks deposits are common, right? They're not new, although the chaos of this weekend saw many online discover the tactic for the first time, mistaking it for a money hack. Shout out to white hat hacking, but hacking usually should have a negative connotation to it, like a 60-40, 70-30 negative connotation. If it's a hack, that's probably not a good thing. Large checks deposited digitally are often placed on hold while the banks review their authenticity. It's not how when it says large checks here, they just have a threshold. Like once this check is over this dollar amount, anything over it gets placed on hold. It doesn't matter how large it is. And sometimes that's usually just a few $100s, like $250, $500. Anything over that amount, it'll be placed on hold. So it hasn't to be large checks. Sometimes ATMs allow customers to access a portion of the newly deposited funds immediately. This allows users to quickly draw money before their check clears or bounces. Also, that's the one thing too. If your check, if they give you, let's say the check's for $500, right, and you take out the $250 that they give you right then and there immediately, if that check bounces, they're gonna take all that money back. They take the $250 that you took out and the amount that is still on hold. Fraudsters often approach this by opening bank accounts with fake identities, creating deposits and counterfeit checks for seemingly legitimate sources, then abandoning the account and leaving it with a negative balance. Yeah, but that's also I want to blame anybody. I viewed many of our IDs. If they're, I guess, large banks is different because you're dealing with people, out of state, or if you're like on the border of state lines. But we had a book where it had all the state IDs in them. The second I get a state ID that wasn't if it wasn't DC, Virginia, or PA, and I'm just saying because of the states and Maryland borders, but if it wasn't a Maryland ID, which is an ID I have, like because all the state IDs, for those who don't know, all the state IDs are issued differently. They all look completely different. They all have different rules. Like Arizona, their state IDs are good for, I feel like, this might have changed, but when I was working, I feel like for like 40 years or something like that. It was crazy. Like we had people coming in with like an expiration date of 2063, some crazy number. And when we saw that, we were like, this is like, this is a different type of fraud and a different type of stupidity you think we have, but why would this license, not expire in an 8 to 10 year window? We go look it up. Nope, that's how it is. That's how long it was for. But we had a book for all this different type of stuff. Obviously, you can Google these type of things. But even a place like New York, at least this license that this man had, his was borderline paper that we were getting. And when we had his, it was like, it was his real license, but we told him like, you need to get a new ID because this, and he was telling us this is how they issue them, at least in the time. This might have been when he got his license, maybe 2006, 2007. But we told that man, you need to get a better license because at this point, this is like on the fake side. And we can't keep telling people who come in here, that this one guy from New York, this is the real license. But it's just like bouncers at clubs. You should be well versed in IDs for your state. A state ID should not get past your driver's license or a state ID. And then any state that's out of country, especially at a financial institution, there's no rush, quote unquote, to make the account. I know, especially at banks, they got numbers, quotas to meet, but you don't want to have fraud. Then you have a worse situation. But I guess the bank looks at it as they're going to make more money, just making accounts faster and take the loss with the fraudulent accounts. Another common trick involves a scammer pretending they send a check for a greater amount than they meant to, hoping that the recipient is willing to deposit the check and transfer the excess money, which would ultimately lead the victim out of their own funds after the check bounces. Right? Yeah. So they send you the money. They say, "Oh no, I didn't mean to send this much to you. Send me the delta," and then that check bounces, and now you lose all that money because you transferred it out. So that's the one thing. If you deposit $1,000 check and you leave the $1,000 in there, and the check bounces, your account won't go into the negative, or should I say that $1,000 that you deposited, or just get taken out. Now, whether your account, is already in the negative or not, that's a whole other situation. You always have to deal with any fees or penalties that come with that. And if you, again, relationship with your financial institution in person, if you speak to them, or even if you let them know ahead of time, again, many a times people tell us, they're like, I don't know if this check is good or not. We're like, okay, what would you like us to do? we would help them out in the sense of, good manager, put a check on the longest hold that we had, make none of the funds available, and contact them if it ended up going through or not. But they still have to assume the risk is still your responsibility. In short, it's still on you as the customer or as a member when you're depositing checks. It's still on you. It's your account. You can't say, "Hey, I think this check is fake," and if it bounces, don't do anything to my account. It doesn't work that way. Excuse me. But in this case, when we're talking about the scammers here, or excuse me, we're talking about the glitch, the Chase glitch. People online seem to be simply committing check fraud against themselves, making it relatively easy for a bank to catch on and hold them accountable. So people are using their own accounts. And the days after the Chase glitch gained traction, other TikTokers began dunking on those who had tried it, with some joking about waking up with enormous negative balances and others warning users that they had no chance of outsmarting the multinational banking institution. Chase Bank glitch. No, that's called fraud. One TikTok user said in the video that accrued more than 1 million likes in a day. You went to the bank and took out, oh my goodness, they got Chase, you got 50K in here. Nah, and took out 50,000 didn't belong to you. That's a life hack. That's called robbery. You're going to jail, prison. No, there's no way. Again, by Angela Yang and Calhan Rosenblatt, Chase Bank says it's aware of viral glitch, inviting people to commit check fraud. There's no way this is saying that people were committing that much in check fraud. Hold on. 50,000? They must have went and deposited in the ATM, and then hold on, y'all. I'm gonna try and see if I can find a quick TikTok on this. There's no way people were. That's at 50,000. I'm gonna have to believe that that's relatively true because they're quoting everybody in the TikTok comments. Okay, we got a 5 point. Jesus, oh my goodness. Trying to get it to play, y'all. Okay, nothing wants to play. It's not letting me play the video. Why are you doing this to me, TikTok? Are you gonna make me go on my phone? There we go. Yeah, you definitely lower up. Okay, I got it. I don't know why I was doing what it was doing, but I got it to work. So here we go. Share this tab. Here we go. See, look at that. Oh, there we go. See, taking out of context, it's gonna look good. Here we
go. Lawyer up. So everyone's telling me to lawyer up. So that's what I'm about to do. Wire.
Oh, Sam, my bad.
So everyone's telling me to do. I'm gonna wait to see the crime.
You did.
Fraud, wire fraud, theft fraud. So I'm going to let y'all hear what the lawyer say because he knows the law. He knows the law. So I'm gonna take y'all along with me.
If you intentionally did it, it's fraud.
Y'all really should stop with the negative comments because it's just like.
Wait, this. Okay, thank you. This video is not useful. The expert hopefully tells you that you're going to jail. I don't know why it didn't. There you go. Now it wants to
for the past 2 days. Like that. Basic check and wire fraud. So for those of you who don't know how it works, basically what these dumb motherfuckers did is they took their own Chase bank account, right? And they made a bad check, a check for like 50,000 or up that they couldn't, like they knew they couldn't cash, right? They wrote a check to themselves that they knew they could not cash. And then what they would do is they would either try and withdraw it or they would try and just wire it to Nova County and close their Chase bank account. These fucking idiots, bro. Like, the fact that they call that a glitch is just, how in the fuck are you going to go out there and commit a federal felony and not know what a bad check is, what wire fraud is? You thought it was a glitch. It goes to show that, you know, that episode of South Park where they were doing the whole 9/11 conspiracy all those years ago? It was George W. Bush, the character. He was all like, well, we got to make people believe it and all because a fourth of the U.S. population is retarded. They weren't lying. That shit's true. That shit's not fiction. That shit's for real. I truly do believe.
Oh, I've been saying that people are. I'm just showing the 216 day. We
for the past 2 days.
G Prince. I'm trying to find a
As you
short
guys
video.
know,
Here we go.
I did the Chase Bank glitch, and I'm $99 billion in debt. Man, they have taken everything from me.
Okay, he's lying.
Well, I done did the Chase Bank glitch. I wish somebody would have told me.
I'm trying to find a good
TikTok
video.
trend that some users are calling a money glitch or free money hack. It's actually having some serious consequences. Here's what it is. It involves people depositing fraudulent checks into their Chase Bank accounts and withdrawing the money before it's flagged. Well, that's actually fraud. For more on this and how it started online.
No, it's not telling us that they're doing it at ATM or they're doing it in person. If you're telling me people are going to the teller and depositing $50,000 checks, no.
Let's bring in NBC News culture and trends reporter Callan Rosenbach. Callan, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Good to see you. So how did something that is actually fraud turn into this, start getting all these views?
Good morning, Savannah. So at the end of August, so just a few days ago, loophole at Chase Banks where they were depositing checks basically in their own name, depositing it into their own account. And these were checks for, you know, astronomical amounts, $30,000, $40,000.
That's insane.
And they were saying that, you know, Chase will basically front that money while they wait for the check to clear. And so people were withdrawing the money from these fraudulent checks, and they called it a money glitch. What they didn't realize is that they were going to have to pay that money back when the check inevitably
you have to pay it back.
So it wasn't a money glitch. This is actually check fraud. And Chase actually released a statement saying, please don't do this. This is not a glitch. This is a fraud. And you know, they're aware of the situation and they're trying to handle it to the best of their abilities.
What?
Well, they're going to be, if they don't find themselves in legal trouble with Chase in the court of law, they're going to
trend this whole glitch thing on to set the.
Yes, there is. On TikTok, there are many videos in which.
This just sounds insane. I'm trying to find what they're actually doing, though. They're not. No one is saying what actually happened. Some of these videos are so long. Here we go. Let's look at it. Yeah.
A viral social media trend has rebranded old school bank fraud into a so-called money glitch, and it got.
Okay, everybody's saying things, but no one's actually giving me the information that I want to know, which is how is the fraud actually occurring? My assumption is they're depositing the money into the bank account and then via the ATM. The ATM is not putting a hold on it. And then so those should have, if you don't want to say the best time to do this, best time probably do is, you know, Friday or Saturday, how long it's going to take. But here's the confusing part is how they're withdrawing the funds. So even if you put the check in there for 50,000, if the ATM only gives you 20,000, you're only going to be in the hole that 20,000. The other 30,000 is still sitting in the bank account. So my assumption is that the larger amounts are in the $30,000, $50,000 range. Most people could not have been depositing $30,000, $50,000 worth of checks and then withdrawing that from that same ATM. And most people in that line were doing the same thing. The ATMs don't have that. I mean, you have to have millions of dollars in the ATMs to do that, and the ATMs do not have that much money. They don't have that much money. All right, but that's it, y'all. locked and loaded in the episode. Look, don't especially debt payments, investments, lifestyle. Definitely don't commit felonies. I recommend against that. Do my best to give you all as much financial institution knowledge as I can remember and my experience and telling you all what to do and the sources that I pull from as far as what's currently going on. If there's an issue, again, if you just listen to me, don't ever use the ATM to deposit a check. Don't ever use your mobile deposit to deposit a check. Just don't do it. I don't care how good the technology gets or anything like that. Go in person. Now, to be very fair, I gotta be disrespectful. Unless you're getting like graduation money, but even still, in 2024, if you're getting a check, if you're getting a check that isn't like an insurance check, but no, if you're getting a personal check, so a person is giving you a check, not a business check, but if you're getting a personal check, that person, I couldn't even think of. I have checks. I recommend you have checks, but that's only because sometimes you're paying a business, whatever it is, and they only accept checks. Like you can't pay it online. Whatever it is. Some people just are still in that situation. But graduation money, when I graduated and people gave me checks, now I was expect to get, Cash App, Zelle, or straight up cash. But don't write a check. Just send me the money via the internet and send me this internet money, this online money. Don't write me a check. I couldn't imagine writing a check to give like from myself to another person. That just sounds insane. Mainly because you got to wait for it to clear. Waiting for checks to clear on the personal side sucks. Checks are good usually for 6 months. A lot of people probably don't know this. If you write a check off a bank account, that person has usually 6 months to cash it. All right, that's it, y'all. Remember to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Shout out to the YouTube algorithm. Make sure you leave those rating reviews on the podcast platforms as well. My information, as well as my coach Jordan information, can be found in the description on YouTube. Jordan for the fitness information, FinallyFit.live, where you can go to sign up for the 5:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday and Wednesday virtual training sessions. And then I'm _Cory for the financial coaching information. All right, again, y'all, taken out of context is not as far away as you think it is. So that's going to be dropping soon. I got to figure out better how to share TikTok because I'm not going to say it was acting janky. I just don't use TikTok on the internet, right? I use it on my cell phone. But that's it, y'all. Remember to save more and say less. Keep making better your best. And I'll catch y'all in the next one.